Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Haynes. I'm an audiobook narrator, and this is part of my series of self-improvement paths. I like to start each week with a certain mantra or certain practice that I implement into my activities the rest of the week. This helps moving forward in my work and in my life be a little bit easier and a little bit more fun. What I'm going to be referencing as I describe the path of the week is how it applies to my work as a narrator and also as a teacher of narration. However, I believe that this path can guide you in whatever you want to focus on for yourself. Give it a try. Let me know your results. So this week is part 3 of the series of what I call the 5 mechanics behind manifestation. Typically, when having a vision and meditating on that vision or describing the vision very clearly to yourself and then repeatedly focusing on it, often that vision does come true or comes a lot closer to coming true than we might realize. Okay, so is that magic? It sometimes feels that way, but I also believe that there are some mechanics behind it. I believe that all the time I am choosing manageable fears that I face. I am always seeking help in some way, shape, or form. I'm always tolerating imperfection to a certain extent. I'm always making manageable sacrifices to a certain extent. And I'm also always embracing opportunities to an extent. So all of these things, I'm already doing them in my life. Having a vision and meditating on that vision helps me decide what manageable fears I want to face, what type of help I happen to seek, what kind of imperfection I'm willing to tolerate, and what kind of sacrifices I'm willing to take, and also what opportunities I seek. So, with that said, this week we've already covered seeking help. We've already covered managing fears. This week is about tolerating imperfection. So, what's an example of having a vision and then tolerating imperfection along the way? Well, let's say that I have a vision of getting a project off on the right foot and making sure that the author and I get it off on the right foot by our start date that we have set, because it's really important to keep things going for the author and for myself so that the other authors in my queue are able to be tended to. So I've got a vision of that, a win-win for everyone. Me, author, and the other authors. So, what kind of imperfection am I willing to tolerate if setting up some ideas for how we solve a couple of difficult areas of text? When I say difficult areas, I mean, well, maybe there's a graph in the text. Maybe there is a series of words that are written in another language, and neither of us can find a language specialist to pronounce those words for us. So maybe I compose an email to the author with my proposals. Maybe the email needs to come at a certain day and a certain time, and I don't have the time to word it as eloquently as I would usually like. Well, that's an imperfection I'm willing to tolerate in order to get the information to the author and get us off on the right foot on time. It's not really the important thing that I am absolutely eloquent in my writing. I'm the narrator and I'm the problem solver. The author will get it. They're the writer. So that's one example of imperfection that I'm willing to tolerate. Also, let's say you're a student and one of your visions is to have a lifestyle that narration weaves into and out of with grace and with boundaries. So as a student, are you willing to leave the day's work seemingly unfinished if it means that you cut off work at the time that you envisioned and can come back to it the next day at the time that you said you'd come back to it? Maybe that's a really difficult thing to know that, you could have just nailed it. You could have just nailed it. But the main thing is arrive at this time, work until this time, lather, rinse, repeat. It'll get done. You know it'll get done. So, what kind of imperfection are you willing to tolerate? That's what I'll be asking myself this week. I will be getting back to you with my results as I have my visions and then weigh them against the imperfection I'm willing to tolerate. You get back to me with your results. Thank you for joining me. And as your narrator and teacher of narration, I hope that our paths cross again real soon.